The vote will determine the makeup of Nepal's parliament, which will then draft a new constitution. But while the Maoists have given up armed struggle for the ballot box, an uprising in the country's south is threatening to jeopardise this vote. It's taking place in the region of Tarai, where the Madhesi people live. They're culturally linked to their neighbours across the border in India. They make up some 40% of Nepal's population, and their region is important for trade and agriculture. The Madhesis complain of discrimination. In the current unelected parliament, for example, they hold only 16% of the seats. The Madhesis want greater regional autonomy and more army and government posts. Over the past year, the Madhesi movement's general strikes have strangled fuel supplies countrywide, and related violence has left 130 people dead. In a last-minute deal to stop the protests, the government promised to meet the Madhesis' demands, but not until after the elections. Well, Casey Kaufman was in the Tarai region at the height of the protests, from where he sent this report.
A street battle between unarmed protesters and the Nepalese police. They rushed through the streets and tracked down the troublemakers. The Tarai region of Nepal has been rocked by protests. The Madhesis, the people who live there, use this bus to block the road. They are making themselves heard as Nepal moves towards another experience with democracy. Even the temple isn't off limits. The police kicked down the door looking for protesters. The local Hindu priest couldn't stop them, even when he told them the boy had come to pray. Later, the priest told me about his people's plight.
Whoever is in power, they suppress the Madhesis. We don't want discrimination between the people from the hills and those from the plains here. All fingers must be the same. One cannot pretend to be bigger and better than the others.
Many of the protesters live here in this neighborhood, and they are not hard to find. The movement has a solid base. Mrs. Karki was home with her children when some local boys came to her house to escape the tear gas and beatings.
The police came inside my house and threatened to shoot me. My neighbor said we should go to the streets. We couldn't stay in our homes just because we are women. Even graduates can't get jobs. Their voices are not heard, so they pick up stones. People are angry.
Eventually, the protesters pushed the police back and were feeling victorious. But their fight is far from over. Many of the demands made by the Madhesi political parties have not yet been met. And if they're not, the Madhesis are determined to keep fighting. Mohan Shah shows me this garbage dump. He says it's symbolic of the Madhesis' condition.
Look at this. 3 to 4 people sleep here. In Kathmandu, they forget that they survive because of our resources, and they leave us behind in this garbage.
Mohan was beaten on the head during the protest, but he says it's worth it.
My parents never thought of my rights, and I won't make the same mistake. I'm fighting for the rights of my sons and daughters.
For now, the Madhesis have called off the protests and have stopped barricading the streets. They signed a peace deal with the government, but it's yet to be implemented. And if the soon-to-be elected politicians don't act quickly, the Madhesis will rise up again and threaten Nepal's democracy in the making. Casey Kaufman, Al Jazeera, in the south of Nepal.